Schwartz here with Marty Music, hanging out on this beautiful property here with the amazing musician, songwriter, producer, debonair fellow, Butch Walker. Thank you so much for allowing us to hang out for a bit and just kind of like let us into your creative space here.
Thanks for coming, man.
Dude, thank you.
To do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like,
I love your show.
Oh, thank you. It's hard to, I mean, you're a musician. That's the easiest way to put it. But you've had this amazing career as your own artist. But then you've also had this, you know, epic, one of the greatest producing careers, I think, in contemporary music. I mean, I don't want to embarrass you.
Too late. No, it's been really great.
So just real quick, I'll name some names that you've produced and worked with. I mean, we can say a whole Taylor Swift thing that you did, right? So that's, I mean, one of the icons of modern music here. All that classic, like power pop, punk stuff, right? So Weezer, and then Pink.
Yeah, I've worked on several Pink albums, and then, you know, Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco and Green Day, you know, I did a Green Day record.
Oh, hey. Yeah. I've heard of those guys.
Right.
Do you enjoy not being the one on the record, but being the creative producer and then taking some time out and then doing your own thing?
I do. It was kind of a fluke when I stumbled into what would be, I feel like, my full-time job, being a producer for people years ago. It was really a necessity for me, a means to an end. I had to record people's demos in a garage for like $200 a day just to make like money to pay rent somewhere in Atlanta. I got a 4-track cassette recorder when I was 15 and started learning how to record, you know, myself. And by trial and error, I was never schooled, and this was pre-computers, pre-YouTube, obviously, so you had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And the long way. And so I started being able to record my band's demos, and then that led to us getting gigs from those little cassette tape demos. And then it just, one thing led to another. I just really started being obsessed with the process and being obsessed with, you know, the album credits for like who produced this, who engineered this, how did they make these records? Like I said, this goes back to pre-computer days, so there was no footage. It was a very mysterious process on how records were made and how they ended up being so great, and I was fascinated with that. Finally got to be in a band that was signed and to a label deal and with a big album budget to go in and make a proper record in a real studio. By the time I was like 21, I had no idea what it was like to even set foot in a real recording studio. So I learned a lot. I soaked it all up. I went in and was like the annoying kid asking all the questions. What does this do? What does that button do? What does this do? What does that fader do? How does that work?
That's amazing, man. How old were you when you first started playing music?
I was 8 when my parents made a huge mistake and agreed to take me to a Kiss concert.
Oh, yes. You were in that window of the Kiss superfan.
1977.
Yeah.
It was the height of their career the first time around. In 77, you know, I was obsessed. I had the bed sheets. I had all of, you know, their merchandising gimmicks.
That's cool of your parents to take you.
Oh, in hindsight, it changed my life.
They helped set you on a path.
They set me on the path, you know, begrudgingly. My dad was not stoked about it at first, and he was not happy having to go to see this concert that he was like this Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson loving, Kenny Rogers loving country, kind of a redneck from rural Georgia, and here I was wanting to go watch guys in black tights and makeup jump around on stage and breathe fire and spit blood and blow shit up on stage.
Yeah.
And as an 8-year-old, that is wonderful. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So when I saw, like, you know, Ace's guitar explode and 20,000 stoners went nuts, I was like, okay, this is a career I'm interested.
Hey, the Beatles saw the old Elvis movies.
That's right.
And the girl screamed every time Elvis came on.
That's right.
And John Lennon said, that seems like a good job.
Right, exactly. Little Richard, all of it. Yeah. Chuck Berry, all of it was like, I mean, the showmanship of those artists are what set a lot of people on their path. Not so much the music even. Like, I don't think that Kiss was like, I mean, they were, you know, they were catchy songs.
Yeah.
But the musicianship wasn't like, it wasn't about that.
It was the whole package. It was the greatest show on earth.
Greatest show.
And they cracked your young skull open.
That's right.
Do you remember the first thing you learned on guitar? Did a friend show you? Did you take lessons or?
My cousins. The first thing I learned was those were cool, kind of easy songs to pick up and learn on guitar. And this is so funny because on this last tour I just did a couple of weeks ago in New York, my manager called and said, there's this guy that really is into you and wants to come out to see your show and meet you backstage. I was like, oh, cool, who is it? He goes, Steve Miller. And Steve Miller came out. I got pictures I'll show you of us
Isn't
hanging
he
out.
like a total character?
He's great.
Yeah.
He's badass, man. Those records were kind of pivotal for me back in the 70s, and I learned those, and then I learned some Skinnerd because I was from the South.
I want to talk about just a couple of your favorite guitars, if you don't mind.
This is a 66 ES330. It's actually an ES330 TDC. And I picked this up because there was a fire in '07 that wiped out my house and studio and everything we owned. And at that point, I had gotten a pretty decent collection of gear that I'd culminated since my childhood, and all of it destroyed. This was the first guitar I went out and bought after that. And I always wanted a 330. I never had one. So I bought it because 335s had started going through the roof, and I had a matching 66 335 in the same color.
What makes it a 330? Is there no block here?
There's no block.
Okay.
It's a hollow.
Sorry, I'm violating your guitar.
You can violate it. It's fine. It's been violated many times. But it's all hollow, and so they're very light and very resonant.
On it?
These are P90s Lindy Fralin. They're noiseless. I snuck those in there for all you purists out there. I really like them, and I think they sound really nice.
Can we talk about this acoustic?
Oh man, can we? This guitar is very special. It's a 62 Hummingbird with a Dove tailpiece. I'm not a purist, and I never cared, and by the way, I never had the money growing up to care about, having vintage guitars. I bought it for $800 in Spartanburg, South Carolina, when I didn't have a pot to piss in for money. It was already like roached. The pick guard was completely off the guitar, laying in the case. It had cracks all over it, but I put probably 100 more from top to bottom cracks all in it because I would take this thing on stage and tour with it. And because I wasn't precious about it and it was kind of a mutt, I threw this thing across many stages and would drop it at the end of the night and break all the strings off. And I did that for probably a decade with this thing. Toured the world with it, probably wrote more songs on this guitar than any guitar that I ever had that ever did anything for me. I felt pretty indebted to this thing. And then when that fire in '07 happened, this guitar happened to be in the shop getting another big crack repaired. I probably would have cried an extra 2 weeks about losing, because I lost like 50 vintage guitars, and this guitar at that point had lost all of its output. It was very dead sounding, but I said, man, I'm never gonna ever let this thing leave my sight. Cut to recently, Cesar from Gibson, we became buddies, and I told him the story about this guitar, and I sent him a picture of it, and he said, would you be comfortable giving that to me for a while? They took it, and his master luthier basically restored it and put it back to life. It had a laundry list a mile long of things that were broken inside that I didn't even know. And they even left the strap with the Converse shoelace tied on here that I had for years on it. They just did such a great job. I got really emotional when I picked it up this morning. This guitar has been through life with me, and and because of the songs that are in certain guitars, the songs that were in this one got me to where I am today.
You're a perfect example of, you have to be obsessed with it, whether you're going to be successful or not, right? It has to become your only obsession.
To be your only goal.
Yeah.
When you're doing what you love, you look back on it and go like, oh my God, I'd never do that again. That was brutal. But at the time, you're just not thinking about that because all you're focused on is your art and your goal. And so you don't really think about it being a struggle.
Hey, Butch, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks,
so
man.
appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out
Scorpio's
here.
got to stick together.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do.
Real quick, you have a new album that's just out right now, right?
I have a record called Glenn. Ironically, it's more of a piano balladeer, kind of a 70s rock influenced record. And it's, so and with a lot of great guitar work on it as well, by people like Sadler Vaden and Aaron Lee Tashin, and some of it by me. But like for the most part, I wanted somebody else to come in and play on it.
Well, it sounds fun to me. We got links below for people to check out.
Excellent.
It's been a journey. Continue on, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.